Okay, no shit, no fan, part two. It's actually a day later. I haven't even changed my clothes. Been working and then glued to the computer on watching the election results. It looks like Trump's going to win by a very narrow margin. The reason the Democrats are feeling so bad about the current results is that if somebody causes or demands a post election investigation that would go with a vote recount, then the voter fraud comes out and a bunch of people get in trouble. If they accept the current election results, they're going to be dealing with a unfriendly Justice Department and FBI that's going to be going after a lot of law breaking over the last couple of decades. And so there's a tremendous number of government workers that are going to be forced to resign, leave the country, go into hiding, testify against their friends. There is going to be what they're using the word apocalypse. I personally think much of the rest of the country is going to be able to ride that out and have a good time. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of riot in the streets. These are upper middle class people that are going to take a hit and they can survive it. What's going to emerge from this is a smaller and less intrusive government. That's what's going to emerge from this. There is probably going to be 2 or 3 years worth of public disclosure about government wrongdoing, and it's still not going to be all of it, but there will be a lot. I don't think the shit's going to hit the fan. I don't think Russia is going to nuke the world over this. I think that Obama's not going to go away. I think Obama is probably going to be looking at a diplomatic or senior position with the UN. That's my hint. He's not going away, and he's going to remain influential in politics, but it's going to be a different, unforeseen, never before used role in politics. I think the Clintons are going away in shame. I think that the Democratic Party isn't really going to want a lot to do with them. They're going to reform. They're going to reform very quickly. I think the Republican Party is probably going to be looking at a 4-year Trump presidency, maybe not an 8-year, because a lot of heads are going to roll. And what's going to come out of this is probably a leaner, meaner, more authentic Republican Party, and then a reformed Democrat Party, and they're going to want to come back strong in 2020. Then that's going to be a different game, and it's going to be a untraveled road in American history. This is all new stuff. I think we have now passed through a lot of these possibilities that had been presented by the various prophecies. I think they've come, they've gone, we've made it through these things, and there's going to be a relatively regular country, regular progress for the next 30 or 40 years. Probably for the remainder of my natural life, America is, I think we've beaten this thing, personally. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. There's a tremendous amount of cleaning up to do, but I don't see the end of the world coming anytime soon. I don't see the major prophecies coming around unless somebody does something drastic in another part of the world that affects us too. And that remains to be seen. Yeah, no shit, no fan. The Democrats are running scared because if there is a lot of demand for a vote recount or counting, then there's going to be the counter demands for prosecutions for voter fraud. And they're not going to be controlling the Justice Department over that. If by some chance Hillary pulls a rabbit out of the hat and the Democrats win the election now, there is going to be a tremendous amount of legitimate challenges to the legitimacy of those election results, and they know it. They know they can get caught. They needed a landslide to win, and that's why earlier this year, when I was told that there were people in Democrat circles that were very confident that they were going to be able to win this election through a combination of cheating, honest campaigning, and dirty tricks, and that their skill and their organization at cheating and dirty tricks is far surpasses the Republicans. And that Trump just wasn't going to rate a landslide that could overdo that. We're seeing a count right now where basically the cheat percentage, it doesn't work. Nobody's coming out of this thing with a mandate for jack shit, but it means that a lot of stuff that the Democrats could only have hope in getting away with was going to happen if they could get a relatively resounding victory in this election and then be able to say, hey, this is the way the government works. If you don't like it, go get on a plane and fly to someplace else. They can't do that now, and they know it. So even if Hillary wins by a narrow margin, they have a legitimacy problem. If Trump wins by a narrow margin, I think they know how dangerous it is for their position to demand recounts or fraud accusations to go around. That could seriously threaten party officials. It could seriously threaten the position of some other narrowly contested races where Democrats won, but they're just not going to own Washington, D.C. For this election cycle. So they're conceding defeat, but they're holding hope. Here's my assessment. I don't think shit's going to hit the fan. I think the country kind of ducked it. And the Libertarian Party turnout was strong enough that both sides are going to realize that this narrow, very difficult to call election would be less narrow and easier to call if their candidate had appealed to the Libertarian vote. If their candidate had appealed to the Libertarian constituency, they wouldn't be crying over anything, they wouldn't be doubting themselves, it wouldn't be an issue right now.